Talk me through that last moment.
I'm married. I've got 2 kids, but this was the greatest moment of my life.
I'm not married and I haven't got any kids, and it was definitely the best moment of my life.
Let me know, if you ever have kids, it won't compare to this.
You will never live up to this. My wife hands me the baby and it's like, just so you know, son, you're never ever going to live up to this.
No, before you got to tell your missus before she gets pregnant. Don't expect this to top one.
Right before?
Don't take this the wrong way, right? But
just so you know.
Before I finish, Lucas, our son's going to be called Lucas Moura.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rematch. It's myself, Lias Bouzidi, host of the show, and today we have a Champions League classic, I think it's safe to say. We're going to revisit the 2018-19 season and travel back to the semi-final that took place between Ajax Amsterdam and Tottenham Hotspur in the Netherlands, and it finished in one of the most incredible finishes we've seen, with Spurs overturning a 3-0 disadvantage to go to the final. Today, I'm joined by 2 diehard Spurs fans that it's safe to say are not as enthusiastic about the club situation now as they were that fateful night, but they've been good sports and came along for the journey. I'm joined by Flav, and I'm joined by Ben Bowman. Both of you guys have been on the show, so welcome back.
Thanks very much.
Before we get into this game, where were you guys?
I was in Amsterdam. I didn't have a ticket, but I couldn't not be in the city. I had to be there. It's my favourite city on earth as well.
Did you go to the game though? Or where did you watch it?
No, we were, so Spurs fans took maybe 15 to 20,000 out there.
Wow.
There was about 3,000, 4,000 tickets available inside, but the right people got in there because of they've been following Spurs for a long time. I just had to be in there. My brothers, we all went out there. My dad, who was like 69 at the time, he came out of us just to watch it in the bar. So yeah, there's a couple of massive pubs in the main strip of Amsterdam, and that's where we experienced what is, I think, the greatest ever comeback in Champions League football. Yeah. Better than Istanbul, better than the night before when they beat Barcelona.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if it was the best of the weekend.
I was in a pub in Tottenham actually. Well, I was in a pub called the Beehive, which is actually where we go before games. And we did it for the Man City game as well because we couldn't get tickets. So we thought, well, why not go back to the place where we had a massive slice of luck against Man City and went through that night. So we repeated it and went back there, and it was, I would have loved to have been out in Amsterdam. I went to the final, but I didn't go out there for that. But it was amazing to still be with the people that I went to Spurs with. I was with my best mate and all the guys that we usually go with. So yeah, it was a quality night to be in Tottenham for it.
You mentioned that game against Man City, but if we look across that entire Champions League journey for Spurs, it was a really crazy campaign for you guys. Because even in the group stage, it was up, it was down.
We nearly didn't make it out.
You faced Messi that tournament, or that group stage, right? That's the game where he just destroyed you guys at Wembley, right?
Messi's performance at Wembley is still, I think, one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, it sounds obvious to say as he is the best player ever, but he was incredible.
I hated that because at the time, the Spurs fans were going, "Oh, we get to see Messi. We get to." He just killed us. He destroyed us. It was one of the worst 90 minutes. It was like you cannot do nothing with this guy. You can't get near him. He gets the ball and suddenly space just opens up in front of him. It was crazy. But we at no point did we deserve to get to that final.
Was that group stage with Inter and Dortmund? Was that the group?
It was Inter, PSV and Barcelona. Okay. We played Dortmund in the round of 16.
That's a group.
We smashed Dortmund. That was our only convincing performance.
3-0 at Wembley and then 1-0 away. And then it was on to City. But the group stage, we had to draw against Barcelona in the Nou Camp to go through. Wow. And 10 minutes ago, it was Moura who got the equaliser.
Who I'm sure we'll speak about today. But let's talk about that quarterfinal against Manchester City, because City done a domestic quadruple in England. Liverpool won the Champions League. And Spurs were almost the best of the rest at that point. Not good enough maybe to contest with them, but still ahead of the likes of United and Chelsea and Arsenal at that point. But when you faced up against Manchester City, less so with Harry Kane missing from the team, was there any part of you that actually thought you could do something against a Pep Guardiola side that just seemed invincible at the time?
Was he injured in the first leg, Harry Kane?
He got injured in the first leg.
Yes, he went into this mental challenge on
Fabian Delph. Yeah, it was right by the touchline.
It was almost like, why are you going in that hard? But it was kind of, they created this mentality, and Pochettino created this mentality in the players that is kind of, everything was kind of do or die. So you lost Harry Kane. Yeah. And that point you thought, no chance.
Yeah, but then we did, to be fair, I mean, we went 1-0 up after Kane got subbed. Yeah. I think Son scored with like 10 minutes to go, I think, in the first leg.
Is that when Pep Guardiola called you guys the Harry Kane team? And then, he went to the camera and said, do you know who I am now?
Yeah, that was cold. That was I loved that from Son.
Yeah.
But going into the second leg, I mean, this was kind of... this was the game that sort of started the whole Spurs-Man City thing, really. Like, to be fair, we always had quite a decent record against them, but we didn't have anywhere near there wasn't the narrative, that narrative didn't exist at the time that Spurs always got one over City. So that second leg is probably what started it, to be honest. It was one of the most mental games of football you will ever watch.
I don't know how I got through that game. I never want to experience a game of football like that ever again. It was the most uncomfortable experience ever. Very different to the Ajax game, which we're going to come on to. But there was just so much that went on. Goals that were being disallowed. We thought we were out of it, and then suddenly VAR pulled it back. It was the first time I think you genuinely, certainly as a Spurs fan, where you thought VAR became a main character in the game. And we were talking before, weren't we? We were saying that, looking back at the other games in this Champions League, that no one was thinking about VAR, but that game it was like a massive thing. Like you had the Llorente hip. I still can't tell.
Wasn't it 2-2 after 10 minutes or something like that?
We went 1-0 down in the first minute, then Son scored a really quick brace. Then they came back. It was mental. But yeah, the Llorente one, I'm with you. I still can't tell. But the funniest thing about that was, and it makes you think about where VAR is at now, the referee looked at that for quite a long time and was like, he was like, he almost like turned away and was like, well, what am I looking at? And then just like gave the goal. So, but like, that doesn't happen anymore.
In the modern era, right, when you think that they go, I'll go to the screen, they go to the screen,
and
it's
it means
done.
The decision,
He was at the screen for ages watching this ball that had played into Llorente that looked like it had come off the hip from one angle. And then you watch one and went, that definitely hit his hand.
Yeah.
And then you're like, we don't know. And he's just staring at the screen for... It felt like 5 minutes, and then he just shrugged and went, no, it's fine. It's a goal. It was like, it doesn't happen in the modern era.
And then when that Sterling goal got disallowed in the last second, I mean, was it just went from absolute desperation and demise to incredible jubilation?
It did bring us one of the best football memes of all time as well, with Pep, the way he just drops to his knees. It's so good. But yeah, also like, I mean, it's kind of segueing into this game as well. Like, these are the things that don't happen to Tottenham. And I think by the time we got to the final, not to like jump ahead too much, but I think we'd almost used up all of that luck. Like that's what it felt like, because the way the way we got that Llorente goal, the way that goal got disallowed in the last minute, then what happens in Amsterdam, that doesn't happen to Spurs. We're the ones that are usually on the end of all that stuff. So that's when you go into the final, you're going there thinking, our name could almost be on this trophy.
Yeah, like, it's written in the stars.
Yeah, but obviously it wasn't in the end. But yeah, the City game was...
That's the end of the episode, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching. But it was... the City game was so bizarre.
What you've got to remember as well is that throughout this entire campaign, our domestic season is pretty much crumbling.
I think people forget that a lot, that Spurs in the second half of that season weren't that great.
No, we weren't. We weren't that great, and it was the beginning of the end of Pochettino's reign as well. What should have happened with hindsight is we should have refreshed the squad and just kept him, but you just don't know what you're doing at that stage. We had a horrendous performance against Brighton away, and that was pretty much the end of Pochettino's reign.
That's a valid point. It looked like it was a 3-horse race at one point in the Premier League with you guys. Obviously, you were the odd man out, but you were in there.
Even at Christmas, like this season, we were third, and like we were kind of I don't know. I couldn't tell you how many points we were off.
It wasn't too many.
It wasn't that many. Yeah, we were in good. We had a decent first half of the season. We were in good form around Christmas, and then it got to like February, March, and it all just completely crumbled.
It was your away record. I think that was really
bad.
Yeah.
And also these was like the first few times or first few signs that Pochettino kind of showed a bit of disgruntlement towards the club as well. I remember he did that kind of famous interview with Gary Lineker around this time of the Champions League semi-final, then into the final, of like, it's all, we just moved into the stadium and it was like, it's no good having this amazing house, but you've got to kind of have the furniture to go in it. We'd just gone off the back of not buying a player for over a year as well, and we were on our last legs. Like, Kane spent the last few months of the season out injured. Son got injured before this as well, so they'd both spent big chunks of it out. We had no squad. Like, Victor Wanyama, who put in an immense performance at the Etihad in the quarterfinal, was done. Like, he was amazing for us a couple of years prior in 16-17, but he got one injury the season after that and it killed him. Like, these players were on their last legs. But what I love about this run, though, is that it solidified so many of these players as like cult heroes. And I think the player, obviously you think about this game with Mora, but Moussa Sissoko, like in this run, the guy that we bought for 30 million that we were all kind of thinking was a bit of a laughing stock, became a massive cult hero at Spurs because of this run.
He'll long since, this might be confusing to anybody outside of Spurs, genuinely one of my favourite players ever, right? Wow. And this wasn't about him being an incredible footballer, although there were times during this period where he was our most important footballer. He just turned away from being a bit of a laughing stock. Why have we spent £30 million on the guy, to becoming like, if we lose him, we are screwed.
Yeah.
And I once saw him This isn't a lie, right? It sounds like this is made up. He ran off a hamstring. He went down. They did the assessment, and we were like, "Oh my god, that's at least six to 8 weeks. That's a hamstring injury."
Yeah, he was like,
what's that one Jeff Streves line from FIFA? He's a tough cookie. You don't shake it off.
Mate, I've never seen anything like it.
These are the stories you tell your kids like 30 years from now. It's like mythology. Like, oh, I once saw a player that had a hamstring injury,
like
but he was so tough, he ran it off.
It's like when people talk about Terry Butcher.
If it
or
did,
like Spurs.
it would sound crazy if it didn't happen. But
Who was the Spurs player that my stepdad always says this, that played on with a broken leg?
This is the kind of stuff that we hear about.
In the city. I can't remember who it was.
It was Brout Truman or something. What his name is?
Nah, he
was
broke
the
his
goalie,
neck or
wasn't he?
something
Yeah,
like
the
that.
goalie
for
did.
trouble.
See, it's all possible. It's all possible. Right? But yeah, and what we saw in these games against City and eventually against Ajax is a patched together aging Tottenham squad that we'd seen the best out of. This formation, the diamond formation, or a 4-3-3, but it was very much a kind of a narrow diamond in midfield, was needs must from Pochettino, and figuring out a way, how do I get the most out of these players? Harry Winks would often play, and he played in the final of the tournament in Wanyama's position. Nowhere near physical enough to do that, but it was pretty much getting the last dregs out of what was an incredible and the best Spurs side I've seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Just getting the dregs out of it, and how we got to the final and how we got through this City game. City were incredible.
So good, man.
Right.
So good.
And we'll come on to
The
Ajax.
Bruyne of that game was devious, man, honestly.
Yeah. And
But
Bernardo
we found
Silva
a way.
as well.
Yeah.
We found a way. And Pochettino found a way, and that the back line. You always knew you could stay in it when you had Rose, Trippier, Alderweireld, and Vertonghen.
Yeah.
Yes, my people, the team here at Rematch have partnered up with Lost Files to give away one of these vintage shirts to one of you lucky viewers. To enter, all you have to do is follow Rematch and Lost Files on Instagram, as well as comment below your favorite moment from any game with a chance to win. Best of luck to you guys. Let's get back to the episode.
I was going to say, you like speak about cult heroes as well. Like even like Fernando Llorente, like we touched on the goal that the Etihad as well, but he scored against Borussia Dortmund in that first leg, scored at the Etihad, came on at half time in this game, had a big part to play as well.
part.
Just gave us
The
a bit
bully
of a
up front, yeah.
He was brilliant for us.
Would you say that Llorente is the best? Because throughout Kane's time at Spurs, it was finding a backup striker.
Yeah, and we never quite got that
Vincent
right.
Janssen,
And it was Vincent Janssen. Oh my God. I genuinely wasn't sure that he was an actual professional footballer when we signed him. He was awful. But Llorente was the best of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was a quality player, though. Athletic Bilbao, as a youngster, he was unbelievable in Spain. He had a good reputation.
Pretty sure as well. Like
he won the
we
World Cup in 2010.
When we got him from Swansea, I think he scored like 15, 16.
Where we got him from?
Yeah, he done well with them as well, too.
Yeah, he scored like 15, 16 league goals, I think, that season as well. And it was like, we got him like right at the end of the transfer window, I remember in 17, 18.
You could have given me a million years to tell you where we bought Llorente from. I would have never said Swansea.
He kept Swansea up. Like him and was him and Sigurdsson,
Fair
really.
play.
Like,
Yeah. Let's look at the opposition here, Ajax. Because obviously, historically, they're a massive, massive institution. Their history, the players they produce, it speaks for itself. But Ajax definitely went through a period in the wilderness, even domestically, where PSV are winning these. And to be honest, you look at them over the last few years, they really haven't reached this height. Yeah. But Erik ten Hag and this group this season just reached a level of football that I think had the entire continent purring. Because some of the football these guys played throughout this campaign was the most enjoyable to watch as a neutral. Yeah. And you look at the group that they assembled, so many of them have gone on to move to different clubs. And it honestly hasn't worked out for many of them. I think De Jong has maybe had the best luck since leaving, but you look at Van de Beek, you look at Onana, you look at Blind, Ziyech, a lot of them just haven't been able to do it. But for this year, they were incredible. And they obviously had that game against Real Madrid in the Bernabeu, 4-1. This is the reigning Champions League 3-time winners in a row. They beat Cristiano Ronaldo's Juventus, who had such high hopes.
They were the best team to come to Tottenham that season. They
think
were
so?
Absolutely. Without
The football that they played in that first leg, talk to me about
we
it.
couldn't get anywhere near them, Ben. No. You remember? It was like whatever we tried, whatever traps you tried to spring, it was just complete domination, control. It was like Cruyff's dream. It was total football. There was just nothing we could do. They only beat us 1-0, but it should have been a lot more. It should have been out.
I was going to say, I don't know how, I remember coming away from that game. That first half, we didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
First leg, like we basically didn't really have a chance in the whole game.
At home.
Yeah, and it was just like the goal that Van de Beek scored to make it 1-0 in the first leg, they walked through us.
Yeah.
And he just passed it into the corner. And it was like, I remember in the second half on the break, they had a load of chances that they could have put away or should have put away, and they didn't. And it was like, it was a very lucky escape.
I felt at full time in that first game, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
look
So
what they've done to us at
You're
home
going to Amsterdam
without any hope.
No,
I mean, a dream,
Yeah.
but that's different from hoping or
The only
expecting.
thing was I'm pretty sure the team that we put out in the first leg was even like, that was more of a mess than that. I don't think Son played in the first leg. I think he was injured. So he didn't play. I think Llorente played up front instead, and we didn't have anything.
Isn't that the worst lineup to be put out then in the first leg a Champions League semi-finalist has ever put out?
Well, yeah, maybe. It was like, Flav's right. We did not have a sniff in that first leg at all. So like I remember Sonny coming back in that second leg. You think you got a bit of hope there, but I mean, we were 1-0 down inside 5 minutes.
I was going to say, how quickly does that hope dissipate after 5 minutes when Matthias de Ligt heads his team ahead, and they could have even scored before that as well too.
Yeah. They had a chance that I think Lloris saved, and then Rose puts it behind for a corner under kind of little
inexplicably.
pressure. Yeah, he was under no pressure, and he just puts it out, and then they score, and it was like, I think as soon as Danny Rose did that, and you're not blaming him because it's like Champions League semi-final, big pressure. It's like maybe first few minutes of the game you're
He did it for the plot, man.
Yeah, exactly. He knew what was coming. But sort of, you could sense then, and it was one of those things where you turn around to the people that you're with watching at the pub or bar and go, they're going to score from this. And it's like, and they did, and it was De Ligt, the captain.
Because there was a lot of narrative around De Ligt before the game as well.
Yeah, well, he scored in the quarter-final against Juventus, right, to put them
Scored
through.
the winner against them,
Youngest ever Ajax captain. Like,
His stock was so high at this point. Oh my god.
For good reason.
Yeah.
You know. And like you say, in playing in that Ajax side that was just so good, that dominated us, but also put in consistently good performances about all the teams you've just mentioned. But you got the Ten Hag, right? His reputation is in the mud right now, right? Because he's just gone to Leverkusen, did awful, did terribly at Man United, respectively. But it just shows when you have the right group of players with the right profile at the right time, what magic you can create. Because Ten Hag, I think his reputation after this it was through the roof. And at Man United, he was like, he's too pragmatic. These managers just react to what they have, the tools they have.
I mean, I think it's Pochettino is similar, no? Since
he's
left Spurs, everywhere he's gone, there's been question marks, this and that. But what he built at Spurs was just right players, right time, right everything.
Yeah, it was kind of almost like held a mirror up to us a little bit, because we were at the end of that cycle and we'd very much been through what they were going through at the time at the start of Pochettino, where it was like, okay, maybe we played really good football, but it wasn't necessarily in the same mould as them, but it was again a young group of players that had the right manager, empowered them in the right way, gave them that freedom, was brave, was aggressive, and it was like we were coming to the end of that just as they were kind of really peaking, Ajax. And yeah, I mean, Ten Hag was nearly our manager as well.
Yeah.
Like, he was one of the ones that after we sacked, who would it have been after? Was it after Conte?
It might have been after Mourinho.
Oh yeah, it was after Mourinho, because Slot was the one that was after Conte.
Yes.
We got Ange instead. But Ten Hag was interviewed by Levy, and Levy deemed him to not be basically charismatic enough for
Which
the
on
job.
evidence was spot on, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, he got something right, I suppose. So, I mean, yeah, it was. They were an amazing team. And when you're 1-0 down inside 5 minutes, you just think, well, we had a good run. Like it's almost like you're shaking hands in the pub. It's like we got this far. It's fine. Like let's just.
I don't know whether to say that now or the,
What's the thought process for you at this point?
When we're 1-0 down, it didn't really make much difference because you still need the same amount of goals, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I was less, although it was disappointing to concede, it didn't change we still needed 3 goals.
And we also nearly scored straight after. Like Son had a chance where, I don't know what the hell Onana was doing, but he gets to the byline and hits the post.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, this game is probably going to be open. Well, but you're right. I think
away goals still exist at this point as well.
Yeah.
Even if you win 2-1 away, you're going through.
Yeah. But it's almost like in order to make sure that this happens, we knew that 3 was the number.
Yeah.
So, and throughout this first half, we actually played pretty good.
Yeah, we did.
We were much more competitive than we were in the first half. We had semblances of control. We felt comfortable with the ball, and when we managed to get into their final third, we were creating chances. So you always felt like we had a chance to score. But then when Ziyech scores that whipped left foot into the corner, it's like...
It's an unbelievable goal.
You don't see goals like that scored very often. But moreover, it's like one of them ones you think the keeper probably should have got, and then you look at it and go, there's no chance.
Yeah, it's moving away from him the whole time.
Which moves away from him, right? And it was at that point, although we still needed... We still, the 3 goals would take us through. As we moved towards half-time, I remember being in this pub in Amsterdam and walking outside just before the halftime whistle went, and my brother Adam, who we've travelled, me and Adam and my other brothers, Ross, Ryan, Adam and Joe, we've travelled all over Europe watching Spurs, and we've been disappointed mostly. And we came outside, and I was like, and I looked across at my brother, he was there, and we looked at each other and just didn't say anything, shook our head, sat there for a bit, and then after about a minute or two, maybe had a swig of beer, we then, let's just get this over and done with.
Yeah.
No hope at all.
Yeah, very similar. Like I said, I think in hindsight, you are probably right, because the first goal didn't change that much. But even at half-time in this game, you're sort of thinking, yeah, we've had a good run.
Enjoy the day out.
Yeah, we've had a good run. We probably shouldn't have got here. You know, we're still probably going to get over the line to get in the Champions League in the league, although that was a bit precarious at the time and the season was kind of falling apart. But it's just like we'd used everything up by this point. But
I felt like I remember processing it through my head, thinking, why do I always have to do this? Like not just experience losses, but why do I always have to intellectualize misery in the way that we always have to do as Spurs fans? Like, why? I was like, I'm quite good at that, right? I'll give it a go. Plucky Spurs. It wasn't our time again. You
just have to accept it. Why?
But we rebound it, and I was just thinking, I don't want to do that again. I want to feel what other people feel.
Yeah.
Glory.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted. I never knew that 45 minutes later, I would be feeling it.
Rematch is powered by our friends at Betway. Betway is your home for weekly free bets, free spins, and so much more. Don't miss out. Head to Betway today. Bet the responsible way.
Does Lucas Moura's first goal, guys, give you any hope, or is it just? It does give you hope. Yeah.
It's early.
Yeah,
because we were.
It is relatively early. Yeah,
and obviously Llorente comes on at half time. We go a little bit more like direct. Yeah. We've got a bit more of a focal point up there, and we were causing them problems. Like Deli Ali had a chance just before the first goal, I think, and we were causing them a few issues. And it was like you did then start to think, well, if we get one, then we could get two, and then if we get two, we could get three. So it was like you did start to believe when that first goal went in, and just. You kind of see it with the second goal as well. He was almost like, I don't know, he just had the bit between his teeth.
Ben, right, there was that moment between the first and second goal where you've scored and you've like, right, that's early.
Yeah.
There is still 34, 35 minutes left on the clock.
And they were rocking. They were rocking.
But by the time we'd calmed down, we had the ball in the net again.
Yeah.
It was like 4 minutes. I can't even remember.
4 minutes later, yeah.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And the most important thing is what you just said there, Ben, is they were on the back foot in a big way. Yeah. You got the cross that comes in, you got Deli Ali who should have scored, great save from Onana. The corner, no, was that it? That was the start of that, wasn't it? And then and then the cross into Llorente, he should have scored.
Yeah, it's an amazing save by Onana.
Another amazing save by Onana. He then does what Onana does and spills it. And like we say, magic feet from Lucas Moura. But that mayhem before the goal was almost as important as when the ball hit the net because suddenly Ajax were nervous.
The momentum totally changed. Like it totally changed. And as soon as you got that first goal, you did start to smell something. And again, you are in the back of your mind thinking that this doesn't really happen to us. But it is just like, well, if we've got one back now, they could crumble here because they're a young team. Like they've gone and beaten Juventus. Yes, they've gone and beaten Real Madrid, obviously. But like. You are sort of thinking that as well. There is pressure on them. They're effectively 3-1 up in the tie.
Well, in terms of the experience, you've got Blint and you've got Dolberg. You can imagine, and Tadic.
Even Dolberg, yeah.
But the rest is
it's Blint and Tadic, really. Like.
Very young, so they wouldn't have been able to. It would have been difficult for anybody to deal with the sudden shift in flow.
And also it's easier to kind of play. When you're Spurs in that situation, you're 2-0 down at half time. When you're playing with no pressure.
What you got to lose?
It's like, you'd imagine Poch probably would have said to them at half time, just, look, go out and play and let's see what happens. It's like, it wasn't, and maybe this was a failing of the kind of club generally in terms of, like, we didn't necessarily have enough ambition to win. And I think by the time we got to the final, it almost felt like a bit of a free hit for us. And I think there were certain things that were kind of put out by the club or the way they did certain things made it feel like we were sort of lucky to be there, which is an exemplification, I think, of things that did go wrong for Spurs. But I think in this instance, that lack of pressure probably did help us to just go 45 minutes free hit, let's go for it. And
well, there was a talk at half time about a Harry Kane team talk.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Where he wasn't like known for his ability as an orator, but he was able to instill confidence in his players by screaming, "Is this how you want to be remembered?"
Yeah.
In Harry Kane's voice.
I was gonna say.
I didn't want to do
Probably
it.
best.
Yeah, best if I don't do his voice. But
Kill this minute one. Chances.
and this is how you want to be remembered. And
Makes him sound like Gladiator, man.
mate, it was Danny Rose that told the story. He was just walking on. He went for a piss, and he heard Harry Kane from the dressing room going, because he didn't play Harry Kane. He was on the bench, still injured.
I forgot about that.
But yeah, the just shift in momentum after that second goal, and you're like, not only is this within our reach, we've got 30 minutes to score a goal. And the momentum is all in our favour.
Having said that, though, Ajax have a lot of chances towards the end of this game as well, too.
Yeah.
No?
But we're open, right? We expect that. We have to go for it. And they were set up like Tadic kind of false nine rather than a typical number 9, and Ziyech on the break. It was going to be an issue. We had just to hope and do what we can to defend and try and hit him on the break, which is kind of what we did.
Yeah.
But it took so long for that third goal to come. It took forever.
It was so weird because, like you said, like we obviously had all that momentum off the back of the first goal, scored very quickly afterwards, and it felt like it was for a 10-minute period. It was like chance after chance after chance, and it felt like we had them pinned in. But actually, after we'd scored the equaliser, the game did go flat for quite a while, and then once we really opened up towards the end, they should have picked us off. Like
they hit the post, didn't they?
They hit the post. Lloris made a save. Like the quality of finishing they displayed for the tournament. Like Ziyech as well with the quality of finish for that first goal. Well, the second goal in this game. Like how ice cold a lot of those guys were in front of goal. It was like we're giving them so much space. It was like, how on earth have they not kind of buried us? And then, I mean, we kind of threw one punch back with Vertonghen, had a header that hit the bar, and it just didn't quite fall. It was blocked on the line after that as well. And that felt at that moment like the last chance, even though I think there was 10 minutes to go, I think, at that point. When that didn't go in, it did kind of feel like...
He had two opportunities. He hit the bar and then he sort of side foot follow-up.
Yeah.
And it didn't go in. You think, that's it. That was our shot. That was our chance. We give it our all.
Yeah.
Plucky old Spurs once again, but we're going out.
Yeah.
And no, apparently not.
No.
Apparently not.
Talk me through that last moment.
I think possibly, I'm married, I've got 2 kids, but this was the greatest moment of my life.
I'm not married and I haven't got any kids, and it was definitely the best moment of my life.
Let me know, if you ever have kids, it won't compare to this.
You will never live up to this.
Yeah, you will never. You've already experienced in your young age, Ben. How old are you? 28.
Yeah.
You've lived your greatest moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife hands me the baby, and it's like, just so you know, son, you're never ever going to live up to this.
No. Before you got to tell your missus before she gets pregnant that don't expect this to top what
right before.
Mid.
Don't take this the wrong way, right? But
Just so you know,
Before I finish.
Lucas.
Our son's going to be called Lucas Moura. I don't know if you knew any of that, but the greatest.
you'd think they won this Champions League, by the way.
Honestly, like again, it doesn't happen from Spurs, but we're moving towards the end of the game. The ball gets played. I think it might be Son plays it back to Sissoko. Sissoko launches,
lumps it up,
and Llorente being the kind of the lump that he is, a skillful lump, good feet for a big lad, great touch for a big lad. He managed to get it off to Deli Ali, and this you would argue as great as Lucas Moura was, none of this happens without Deli Ali.
No.
2 assists for the goal were impeccable. He's press resistant play in midfield was crucial all game. But that outside of the football into Lucas Moura's run for him to score.
It's so good. And also like that, this was a time as well where this was kind of the start of Deli's decline a little bit as well. Like in the, I think when Poch's Tottenham started to show that decline towards the back end of this league season, like his drop off in form was huge, Deli. Like absolutely huge. But in this moment, in this game, you saw a lot of what we'd been used to seeing for the few seasons before, like just the off the cuff flick round the corner, or like the kind of poise and calmness,
the genius of him.
Yeah, and he was capable of that. He was like, encapsulated so much of what we love about Tottenham players. And I was talking about this on another podcast the other day. It's like you can't really quantify what a Tottenham player means, but when you know it, you get it. Or sorry, when you see it, you get it. And Deli was one of those. Like.
And I think Deli Ali, you're right in terms of he's probably his last truly great display as a Spurs player.
Had a mini revival under Mourinho a little bit, didn't he? But then it was just like,
that's when it
never
went
ever like.
But then we saw, as with as was the entire sort of Pochettino era dismantling at this time.
Yeah.
Deli Ali kind of embodied that breakdown in structure. And Deli Ali was also protected by Pochettino, not in any way that we knew was visible, but the environment he created in just enabled him to be the player.
Yeah.
And people ask questions now about what Deli Ali is and why he wasn't being able to recreate it, what he did under Pochettino. And I think it's because that environment doesn't exist for him anymore.
Yeah, it was just a moment in time, wasn't it? And he was kind of right at the centre of it. And he when he was at his best, like, you know, obviously Kane didn't play in this game. And when you look through this team, there are the sort of bones of what the best version of Pochettino's team was, like Toby and Jan. Eriksen arguably was...
He was falling off at this stage.
Yeah, but in terms of when we were at our best, like, Eriksen was arguably... You could make an argument to suggest he was the best player in that team. He made so much happen. But Deli kind of embodied like what Pochettino Spurs was more than anyone, I think, about that ballsiness, that like, we don't care who we play, whoever's going to turn up at White Hart Lane on a Saturday, like, you know, no player in the league at that point scores the goal that he did against Crystal Palace a few years prior. And he just like, you know, he was, like you said, when Pochettino Spurs did start to crumble, that massively affected him. But when we were at our best, no player, despite maybe not being the best player in the team, embodied what we were best at more than him.
He was just outrageous and willing to try everything.
Yeah.
Which is a Spurs player.
Exactly, yeah. 100%. But the goal is just like...
Is this the most obscure, like, for Lucas Moura to have a Champions League semi-final hat-trick and one of the greatest comebacks of all time is just, it's so random to me. Like, I think in 30 years in the future, we're going to look back at this. It's going to be like a pub question. It's going to be like, who was it that scored a hat-trick for Spurs in a Champions League semi-final? And people are going to say Kane. People are going to say Son. People are going to say Eriksen. Moura.
If you're not a Spurs fan, you definitely might say some of those players, but we will never forget what he did on that day. And we needed him. Had no Kane. He was we needed someone to stand up. We thought it might be Heung-min Son, and Heung-min Son played his role in this game as well. But Lucas Moura, not for the first time, came in clutch for Tottenham Hotspur.
You're a big fan of Lucas Moura.
I just think I'm about where most people should be, but I exaggerate my feelings towards him because I don't think he's respected enough by Spurs fans.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I genuinely think they think about this, but it's so much more than that. Without him, we wouldn't have got out of the group stages. We would have been bummed out in the new camp. So there's so much more to it, but this is what he would be remembered for. And when the ball came to his left foot, he'd already scored one very similar goal from a similar position, passed Onana's left hand. And when they wheeled away, the Spurs players, I almost get like a bit emotional thinking about it now. They just curl around. And the best thing about it is all the Ajax players just crumble.
Yeah, just Lucas Moura does his little jump in the air.
Look what we've done to you. Look what we've just done to you.
And that's the thing. It's like we've been there so many times. Like we have been Ajax in this situation so many times. So it was just like it was a really strange feeling. It obviously so euphoric, but like you can't like. It's so weird to be the team that's on the other side of that for once. And yeah, I
couldn't believe it.
It was literally unbelievable.
Everybody in the pub, we were just staring at each other. Honestly, in the pub, I've never seen a celebration like this in my life. It was like the last days of Gomorrah. People were hanging from the roofs, doing backflips off chairs. There were pints going everywhere. The barmaids were celebrating. They were Ajax fans. This is Amsterdam. People lost their minds. It was just magic. It was beautiful for football, beautiful for Spurs, but just superb and incredible. And I went with my brothers and my dad, who I mentioned a couple of times. We just held each other for ages, just holding on in that moment, just like we've experienced that together. And the same in the stands for the Spurs fans and everywhere. It's in the Beehive.
Oh mate, it was amazing. And again, like to be there with the people that you do this with. That's the most important thing. It's just like we're obviously in such a terrible place at the moment, and we've had highs and lows throughout our time supporting Spurs. But like when you think back to those highs, you think about what football is actually truly about, and it's about the people who you spend it with and the journey that you kind of take along the way. And I think we've had to make that part of our DNA probably more as a Spurs fan, because we actually haven't won loads. But it does. I think it's like I think people have said it before. I think Spurs fans are just naturally probably a bit more like resilient and open-minded because of the stuff that we've kind of been through, but it does just make you think about why you do it.
Winning makes you soft. It makes you weak, and
we're hardened. Like that's
I think you won't find a more stand-up individual than a Spurs fan because of what we've gone through.
No bias, of course.
Whatever you say to us, it won't hurt us.
Human endeavour. What does suffering as a human do to someone? It rounds them. Okay, you understand the plight of your fellow man. When you win too much, you lose touch of all that. So
you're a man of the people then.
Yeah, I think so.
So that Europa League, it didn't feel the same.
What did you think? I mean, that was weird.
Yeah. I mean,
did you know how to celebrate? Did you know how to?
I remember. I know we're not talking about that game, but I remember looking up at Heung-min Son and going, I can't believe what I'm seeing. He's about to hold up a trophy.
It's
one lady didn't even want to win.
It was the only time I've seen this is on FIFA. Like me doing it. Like that's the only time I've seen this happen.
Look.
I mean,
the irony though is that the final whistle went on this, and you got 3 weeks until the final.
Harry Kane's running on the pitch at the end of this game, and I remember in the commentary they were like, "Oh, Harry's ankle looks okay there," and there was all that narrative about whether he was going to play, and obviously, I mean, Lucas Moura.
Let me ask you guys that. This is the question I always have, right? And I'm sure you know what I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
Should he have played in the final, or should have Lucas Moura have been given the start?
Both.
You would have played both of them.
I think.
I just think you have to reward Lucas Moura after
100%.
this, man.
But I think it probably, despite how we've just waxed lyrical about Deli Ali, I think he probably should have taken Deli Ali out, because I think, despite that brilliant performance in the semi-final, he was probably the least in form attacker out of all those guys at that point. And you're not going to drop Son, obviously. And I don't think you can drop Eriksen, despite the fact that he was past his best at Spurs. Eriksen had actually come up clutch with a few moments in the league to even get us into the Champions League by the end of that season. I remember an amazing goal against Brighton in the last minute when we were playing so badly. But I think Dele probably should have been the one that came out, because I think that there is an argument to say that Harry Kane shouldn't have played. I would hear you out. But if you've got even a 60% fit Harry Kane, I would still play him.
That is a good answer, Ben. It's a politician's answer. You can't just say both, though. It was one or the other.
I don't think it... No, because I think that...
It was, because he would have played... If it was no other option... You're saying you know more than Pochettino.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. Clearly. But Pochettino obviously had to make a choice between one or the other.
Yeah.
So, answer that question.
My gut still says I probably would have gambled on Kane.
Yeah.
You can't the same.
He was the best striker in the world, probably.
Yeah.
He has been the best striker in the world for 10 years, by the way.
You just had a guy score a hat-trick. He dragged your team across the finish line.
I know.
Good option off the bench, though.
I know. I don't know. You're right. And hindsight's a great thing, right? And it's easy to say.
Because Harry Kane, how many games did he play ahead of that Champions League final? That's his first game back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Not even
nah.
He didn't, but he did. Like you said, I think the Ajax game, I think we had one more game in the league after it, which was Everton on the final day.
And he didn't play in that
game. And then
game.
we had 3 weeks.
Yeah, we had a 3
Hindsight's a beautiful thing, but I'm sorry, that can't be the first game back, man.
Well,
but then again, I guess if you lose that, the question is, should Kane have started?
And Harry, the reason why we lost that game is not about Harry Kane.
No, it's not. But it's just
no, it's about a goalkeeper. It's about a refereeing decision.
Yeah.
So we got to our first major final.
A football injustice.
It was a tragedy. I think everybody should.
It is a penalty, though.
Why?
Everybody should be up in
penalty.
arms.
His hand is extended like this, man.
No, what are you on about? What are you on about?
It's not
okay, it wasn't like this much, but it was like...
They changed the rule. How many times this has happened to Spurs, by the way?
Yeah.
Where they've changed the rule after we've been off the... Do you remember Jamie Carragher when we played in lockdown, I think, against Newcastle, where it was like, whoever's involved in this is stop it, because you're ruined. That was a handball
so
one.
this is Eric Dyer.
Yeah.
Where
he's not even looking at the ball.
Yeah, this is good. This is good for the video, right? Let's go through all of the handballing injustices.
Lucas Moura against Sheffield United.
Lucas Moura falls on the ball. Yes, it is. Lucas Moura fell over, right? And the ball behind him, the ball hit his arm, and they changed the rule, right? Eric Dyer handballed the ball when he was looking this way, and the ball changed the rules.
Just fell
in
on
the final against Liverpool, where Moussa Sissoko is pointing to the direction where Kieran Trippier has to run. I think it was Trippier, right?
Yeah.
Run this way, and the ball comes up and hits his arm. There's no...
It doesn't even hit his arm.
It hits his armpit.
It's in there. It's in there.
Anyway, so like
good to know you guys are over this.
We're talking about,
but it was like,
but we're talking about Kane and we're talking about Moura, and that's the question that always aimed at. And then within 30 seconds of the greatest night of our lives, you have to deal with that injustice.
Yeah, it was so Tottenham,
and you knew at that point.
Yeah, it was done. It was done.
You guys really thought that in that moment?
100%, because it was like, again, not from a football perspective necessarily. Even though like Liverpool didn't play great in that final, that was there.
The worst final
there for Tottenham.
Anti-football.
It was the most boring final. The worst
It
final.
was, but
Yeah,
I don't think I think we did that to Klopp as well. We had more chances, more shots on target, more possession.
but also they didn't. You say more chances. I can't really remember
There was a
that
few
many
moments, though. There was one
clear
where-
cuts. Like you think, oh, if only that had gone.
There were
stats.
half chances. Like, so I remember there was one in the second
Oh, you're a
half.
big stats guy now.
When it suits me, yeah.
There was one in the second half where it looked like someone was going to get away, and then Van Dijk just comes.
Yeah,
across.
I remember.
There was a lot of like half kind of
Yeah,
chances, but
it was
I think
terrible,
with the
I remember.
penalty, it was like I said earlier, we rode this wave to get to this final, and
Yeah.
it did just feel like the balloon popped as soon as that penalty
Funnily
was
enough,
given.
they were riding their own wave. Liverpool on the other end as well, too, right? They had to go through a lot that Champions League run. That Champions League in general, I think
Great.
it's the greatest Champions League ever.
100%.
Because you had actually United beating PSG in their own comeback.
That's right.
You had Barcelona doing what they were doing across that tournament. Messi was unreal. Liverpool, you guys. I think that's the great. And my biggest rivals won that tournament, so I'm comfortable saying this.
No,
I think it might be
100%.
one of the greatest Champions League campaigns we've ever seen.
I think
so.
from that point, but even before that, the Champions League has proved that it is easily the greatest cup competition.
100%.
It is,
Yeah.
and that's not easy for me to say because that's suggesting UEFA are doing a great job.
Nah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't like
Teams are the ones doing a great job.
Yeah, but they're also creating opportunity and prestige, and the teams go for it, and that's what you love to see. Even in this modern era where football stinks quite a lot, you know, it's systematic, boring, Guardiola influenced nonsense, right? In my opinion. I know it's a big camera. I understand it's a big
I was
camera.
gonna say,
Now it's Arteta.
it doesn't help. It doesn't help that there's certain teams at the top, does it?
Yeah, stinking the place out, throwing nonsense, throwing bombs into the box. If you want to win like that, you can win like that. Not for me, mate.
It's fine.
It's
Not for you?
Not for me.
You'd much rather win the other way.
Yeah, let's win the proper way or not at all, right? And
I think we'll go with not at all.
but Champions football is still that chaos. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Rematch is powered by our friends at Betway. Betway is your home for weekly free bets, free spins, and so much more. Don't miss out. Head to Betway today. Bet the responsible way.
We're talking about these games because they happen in the Champions League, but the attitude towards that competition just brings out incredible moments.
Yeah, and I think Tottenham and Ajax actually kind of encapsulated that probably better. Maybe Ajax more so. I know obviously we got through and beat them, but like a young, brave team that just feared nobody.
Yeah,
and
I think
the final was terrible, obviously, but like all of the build up to that, you had everything in terms of narrative, like giant killings, last minute kind of drama, amazing comebacks.
Let's
just
be
people
honest
just
as
not
well, too.
caring.
This final, in terms of narratives before the game, and also the butterfly effect from both of them, Klopp and Pochettino, both of them were in a similar situation, though, right? Neither of them had won anything to this point. There was a feeling that there was a desperate need for both sides to really
I forgot that was Klopp's first
crown
trophy.
because Pochettino, no matter what anyone says about that era, what he did at Spurs was special and
Yeah.
similar to Klopp. And if Klopp had done similar to Pochettino in terms of not being able to crown that off with silverware, we'd look back at that era and think, wow, what could have been.
Yeah.
But this final really felt huge for both Pochettino and Klopp. And who knows if Pochettino in fact wins that trophy over Klopp, what does Pochettino's time at Spurs look like after, and what does Klopp's?
Great question, but I don't think it would have changed a great deal.
No,
If Spurs win a Champions League, don't you think he has a bit more credit in the bank with ownership?
It's the ownership that is the problem.
yeah.
But if you win a Champions League, surely that makes him unsackable for at least another season.
Yeah. Also, I think there's like you said about the ownership. There is actually a Spurs Liverpool game that's about 18 months before this that I think was almost at Wembley, which was a massive sliding doors moment. That then obviously we then go and play them in a Champions League final.
We were beaten 4-1.
We beat them 4-1.
Lovren
and then
hooks it after.
In that January, they go and buy Van Dijk. In the summer after, they go and buy Alisson. And then we meet later in a Champions League final in 18 months. And you just then see, 18 months later, you see the trajectory between the two clubs. Because we were better than Liverpool at that time. Like you said earlier, we were the best of the rest, really.
At that time, we was finishing 7 or 8 seasons above them in the league as well.
17-18 we finished third, and then they weren't in a title race that year. It was City and United, wasn't it? First and second in
United. We were
yeah,
second
but it
on
was
paper.
City Centurions. You finished second. We
finished 19 points behind them. I've never felt more like hopeless in second than I did that season.
Yeah, true. But then, like 18 months further down the line, and we meet them in the Champions League final, and then everything changes.
But what does Klopp's project look like if he doesn't win that Champions League?
I don't know. I think they still totally back him. Like I just think.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure.
Something would have happened. Like they would have won
I think
something.
uncertainty starts to creep in at that point.
I don't know. There was a lot going on behind the scenes at Liverpool at that time. They built an infrastructure that really supported Klopp.
Yeah.
Their recruitment strategy was, partway data driven. They had professional scouts looking at players that they'd found, and Klopp had really bought into this system. So they've built something of substantial structure behind the scenes. We knew that later because it's been published in books and whatnot. But at Spurs, it was the end. We hadn't reinforced that squad for a year.
Yeah.
the season, the domestic side was struggling, and even in the Spurs fan base, they were starting to doubt. The next year in the Champions League, we get absolutely battered by Bayern Munich 7-2 at home. I've never experienced anything like that. I was behind the goal, right?
Yeah.
Literally, like there. The goal was there, and it was like we was watching, like the world's best football team that had ever existed just play against you. Every time the ball was like, oh, it's gone in again.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone.
Do you know what's weird
And
as
like
well?
by
It's like-
7, you're like, oh, you got PTSD. I can't see any more goals going against my team.
That's Pochettino, right?
And that's Poch,
it was near the end. It was almost weirdly a bit like the Atletico Madrid game a few weeks ago, where that Bayern Munich game, we weren't even that bad. Like, I remember the first half, we were really competitive, and we went 1-0 up,
2-1, wasn't it?
was,
I think 2-1 was it? Half
That team could just blitz.
It was one.
They won the
at
Champions
half-time,
League
I
that
think.
season.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they were
did.
great. They were great.
But I kind of think Flav's right. I think that if you were to ask me, even if Spurs won that Champions League, who would go on to be more successful over the course of the next 5 years, I would probably still say Liverpool.
Yeah, same.
Watching this game back, is there a moment that maybe slipped your mind?
There's one for me, actually. On 97 minutes, having taken the lead, we then counter-attacked with a 4-on-2.
Yeah.
I almost think it's better you didn't score that though. I think
I'm like, what are you
to
doing?
make it 3, yeah.
Why are you
Yeah,
even
yeah.
up there? Like, I get there's a thing they've got to come and get the ball back, but one person slipped. I didn't remember that at all. I think I was still celebrating. So that came as a shock to me. I was like, we broke away on 97 minutes, 4 against 2, and I'm like, why is there so many players up there? But
Yeah, it's tough. I'd probably say similar. I do. I mean, one that I definitely remember was when we were 3-2 up. Just before that, actually, I think when Mora was running away with it, was Eric Lamela ball rolling on the edge of our own box. It was like, just get rid of it. It was like the bloke had no right
Sounds
foot.
like
He was
Lamela.
incapable of just hoof it up the pitch. So that was just a
And how-
PTSD Vietnam.
how
throwback.
open it was as well, like
Yeah.
how back and forth it was. Even in the first half, I don't remember it being that.
Yeah, football's just better then. It just was.
Well, on the conversation of football back then, what's the most 2019 thing about this game that you guys think just screams the time?
I think Screamer, this is ZX Screamer.
Yeah,
The openness and the willingness to gamble and the numbers that you put forward and committed and the kind of chaotic nature of the game was symptomatic of that era. We was coming to the end of that as Pep sort of realised that in order to win,
control.
he had to control games, whereas the chaotic nature of football and the beautiful part of it was evident.
I think it's the comeback itself. I think, like we said, the comebacks in the Champions League that season were so prominent.
Yeah.
And this was just like maybe the best one, like you were saying. It could be one of the best Champions League comebacks of all time.
It's unfathomable, really, that there were 2 back-to-back days of Liverpool
Ours is
getting through
better,
against. But I think ours is better.
Yours is
I would
more
say.
unlikely, I think. Like, it's just like 3-0 down in the space of like you're at halftime, you're 3-0 down.
Yeah.
Liverpool by halftime, I think needed 2 more goals to equal it up. But
Yeah,
you guys
they went
needed,
1-0 up basically straight away at Anfield, didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah, yeah. And then I think you went into the second. I think they went into the second half 1-0
Yeah,
up
they
basically,
were.
but needing 2 more to equal it.
They don't really count theirs. But ours was special because we had so little time and we'd already 2 goals down in the game.
And it was
and you're away from home as well too.
And
To be
we're-
fair,
Yeah, exactly. And we did. I mean, obviously there was a bit of play afterwards, as we just spoke about, but it was to do it. The amazing thing is, as that more of goal goes in, it's literally as the clock ticks to 96.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I also think, if we're being honest, and this might be a backhanded compliment, but they're Liverpool in Europe. You almost always expect that Anfield with Liverpool.
Yeah, they have
There's a
got-
special night in there.
Yeah.
With
In
Spurs,
their DNA,
like you said, it never happens to Spurs. So
No.
for it to happen in that manner, I think you got to give it to them. Maybe the fact that Liverpool went on to win it adds points in their favor. But in terms of just a one-off comeback,
But then again, they still
that's
did
special.
beat a Spurs side that you would say that about. It's like Spurs won't get this done in the final. It was like, I think, that ours does deserve more credit. They have got the European heritage to kind of make you think they can do it, whereas nobody probably gave us a chance.
I don't know how you feel when looking back at that game though, Ben, is that I struggle to watch it and enjoy it. I really do, because I know what comes next.
Yeah.
Like I can appreciate it in isolation, but when I was told that this was the game that we were going to be watching, I was kind of like, I had this sinking feeling, because not only do I have to remember the last time I felt great following my football club bar in the Europa League run, I have to also live through the heartache that came after
It's
it.
like Game of Thrones season 6, man. You know what's coming up after, man. That's the reality.
It's true.
Yeah, I feel the same. But then again, it does take me back to a time where you can just bottle that feeling up and just go. I don't know. Going out to
miserable.
Madrid, I will still always remember that weekend.
Were you guys both at that game?
No,
I was at the final.
For professional reasons, I was otherwise unable to go.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was there, and it was like I still can't take away. I went to a Champions League final with, my stepdad that got me into Tottenham and my mates that I all go to Spurs with. It's like we had so much of a laugh that weekend. It's just like, but then again, I think that kind of encapsulates being. But it's like you're almost okay with it because it's like, well, it is about the journey. But then obviously the club went in a different direction after that because it was like, right, we've come close so many times, and it kind of signalled the end of that version of Spurs. And I still don't think we know what we really are. So we were then, after that, kind of chasing our tail a little bit, trying to go, right, let's go and get Mourinho. Then after that, let's go and get Conte. Let's make sure we win. That didn't work. And then we kind of go back to something similar to Pochettino in Ange. And then we do get a trophy, but now we're here where we are now. It's just like, yeah, it's very weird being a Spurs fan. I don't think there's an experience quite like it, to be honest.
I'm going to end it off with one question. Obviously, this week you've gone in a different direction with Roberto De Zerbi, set to take over for at least the remainder of the season, and who knows how long after that.
Yeah.
I remember you recently saying that if there could be one man to return to Spurs as manager, it would be Maurizio Pochettino.
Yeah.
I'm sure you stand by it. It was only a few weeks ago, but Ben, are you kind of in the same boat?
Yeah, I probably still am. I mean, it's obviously not happening now, but I was. And I think it's kind of more recently that I've felt like that. I've kind of been more anti it for a while. Just because that thing of like, well, it's not going to be the same if you go back
to your ex, man. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, and it's like...
sometimes on a Saturday night, you know what I mean? You got to...
And it also feels like because the club is more divided than it's ever been right now, it's like, do we kind of need that figure to bring it back together? And one of the things that I remember when Pochettino did that high performance podcast a few months ago, or about a month or so ago, I remember watching his interview after this game where he just breaks down in tears, and it's like, to get to the Champions League final was amazing. It's like him running on the pitch in tears, and you could see how much it meant. And then you're thinking, just going, fucking just go and get it back. Go and get Dad back. Bring it back. We're broken at the moment. We're so broken, and it just feels like maybe there is only one man that can kind of piece that all back together, and maybe it will be different this time. Different people running the football club, Levy not there anymore. Not that the people that have replaced him have shown anything to kind of make you believe in them, but I don't know.
Ship sailed is never happening.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it will. I mean, De Zerbi's not going to be here for 5 years. Let's face it.
You're lucky to be here for 5 months.
Yeah, so it could happen.
And finally, if we just look at that Champions League final, does the result change if Maurizio Pochettino starts with Lucas Moura up front instead of Harry Kane?
I don't think so. Nah. I don't think so. I mean, that penalty still probably happens, and the game's done inside 30 seconds. And it's like...
It was the game wasn't won by us. It was won by Klopp's savviness and willingness to break up play and be defensive and dogged and do what was ever necessary.
Yeah.
And that's what killed us, really. So I don't think Lucas Moura would have changed much more. And that's my answer.
Yeah, agreed.
Sadly.
Throwback to better days for Tottenham Hotspur. At the moment, I think both of my guests here would long for Champions League semi-finals, but who knows where the future lies for the football club. Thank you so much to Flav. Thank you so much to Ben. Another fantastic episode here of Rematch. It's been myself, Lias. Please, guys, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notifications so you don't miss another episode of Rematch. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.